Hello and welcome to the Gary Dunn Show for October 28th, 2025. I'm your host, Gary Smith. On today's show, we'll take a look back at the IEP game from this past weekend, and then we'll look at what has gone on in the PSAC also this past weekend in terms of scores, standings, and everything like that. And then we'll break down this upcoming week's opponent, the Frostburg State Bobcats. But without further ado, Coach Dunn, we're back for another Tuesday. I can't believe we're at the end of October as time just keeps going and going. I don't know if it's Groundhog Day or just the march of time.
Season's flying by. It's can't believe it's week 8 already. Add the 4 weeks of preseason camp we were here, and it's crazy to think where we're at in the season.
Well, we're in the part of the season. When the schedule comes out, IEP, a huge rivalry. It's always something that alumni, fans, players, coaches, everyone in the region looks at and circles the date, and it always seems so far off. But this past weekend, traveled up to IEP for the Coal Bowl. And it was another hard-fought back-and-forth game. I mean, I think you can pretty much 5 years down the road say a Cal IEP game is going to be, close back and forth, and each and every game is.
It seems to be the craziest games when we play those guys. It's a great rivalry. I don't got to do a lot of motivating during the week when we're getting ready to play those guys. And we went up and played good football, but at the end of the day, they made more plays than we did. I'm sure we'll go through the game segment by segment. We had our opportunities, but give IEP credit. They made plays, and it boiled down to, like it always does against those guys, a couple plays here and there. And we got to figure out a way to be a little bit better, to coach a little bit better, and to execute a little bit better.
Well, metaphor always is a heavyweight title fight, and that first half, it was back and forth. You scored, they score, you score, they score, then they score again. But it just seemed like, you gave them good punches, they took it.
Yep.
They gave us good punches, we took it, and it was just back and forth.
Yeah, they're a good football team. We came out, we deferred, won the coin toss, deferred, had a nice little kickoff return, and ended up putting a drive together and scored on the first drive. But we're very happy with the way the offenses came out the last couple of weeks. We've done that twice in a row where we were able to get to, defer and or 2 weeks ago in Clarion, we got the opening kick and went down and scored. This time we deferred. Defense did a good job. We got good field position and went down and scored, and 7-0.
7-0. IEP comes back 7-7. Again, back and forth. I will move ahead towards the end of the first half. IEP had scored on back-to-back possessions. They went up 21-14, and then we have them backed up in a big play by. It seems like at the end of the first half, Keith Charney is going to come up with a play. Stops the drive and gets your offense first and goal inside of a minute and a half left.
Yeah, I think that was a big part of the game on Saturday. Is we had to kick a couple field goals and they converted touchdowns, and we had opportunities both on offense and defense. We had an opportunity to score on that possession, and we didn't. Defense set us up in great field position. We had all 3 timeouts. It's under a minute. We had everything we wanted. And we just didn't make the plays and didn't execute, and so we have to kick a field goal there. So I think we go in down 21-17 at the half.
21-17, yes.
That's where we've got to be better offensively in the red zone. If you go back to some of the games this year where we've got to kick field goals, and Harry Ratcliffe is doing a phenomenal job of putting points on the board when we send him out there. That's kind of been the difference. We've got to convert touchdowns there, and then on the flip side of that, when a team gets into our red zone and our low red area, we've got to hold them to field goals. And right now, offensively, we're not scoring enough touchdowns, and defensively, we're not holding them to field goals. And ultimately, that was the difference in the game Saturday.
Well, we'll get to the end of the game in a little bit, but after the first, at the end of the half, you kick a field goal there, get a momentum back, and then momentum meter swings almost entirely into the red on the opening kickoff.
Yep.
Deontay Willens just taking it back, and I tell you what, there was a great traveling crowd on Saturday for the Vulcans.
Sure, absolutely.
And where we're setting up is we're in the bleachers, and it was vibrating the entire length of the visiting bleachers on Saturday.
Yeah, the great job by our kickoff return unit. Coach Salisbury's doing a good job with that unit, but Deontay's special when the ball's in his hands. But more importantly, the guys in front of them. If you pause the film, we got hands on every one of their kickoff guys, and we did a really nice job of blocking it up, and we put him on the kicker. He made the kicker miss and was able to take it for a touchdown. So great start to the second half. We're right where we want to be. Now it's 24-21. We kick off, and they kind of muff the kickoff, so we put them in bad field position. We get a 3 and out, midway through the third quarter, and we muff a punt. And everyone wants to say, well, the kid that returned it, we didn't do a good job on that. We didn't block the right guys, and we had guys in his face. Now, if you ask that young man, he'd want to get it back. But I thought that was a huge turning point in the game because we had went 3 and out. We were getting the ball on the plus side, plus 40, already up 3, and they really hadn't stopped us offensively. They did a nice job in the red zone, but we were moving the ball pretty good. That's where we got to take advantage of that, and unfortunately we didn't. We give the ball back to them, and they get out and score. And now we're playing catch up.
And not only did they score, it seemed like with that long drive, I don't think our offense had the ball until about the 5-minute mark of the second half, and that's very odd in terms of just game management and also just trying to keep in rhythm.
It was crazy. We get the kickoff return, and then we get the 3 and out, and we muff the punt. So then they go on a long drive, and on the headsets, Coach Salisbury's telling our quarterback and our receivers, you guys got to warm up like it's pregame. I mean, it had been real time. It had probably been an hour before we ran an offensive play. We've got to do a better job in those situations of playing situational football. But we were going to battle. I knew we were going to play 60 minutes, and I'm sure we'll get to the rest of it.
Yeah, we'll move down to the end of the game. We're down, but your team's driving, need a touchdown and a field goal. Time's running out, and I tell you what, Harry Radcliffe going out there, your team had no timeouts just to get the special teams unit on their set, and it wasn't an easy kick in that situation.
Yeah. Well, you go back to a little bit earlier. We were down 8. We had a 4th and 1 on our 40-yard line. I decided to go for it. I'm going to be aggressive with our offense. We've got to convert there. Give IUP credit. They got to stop, and I think that's when they went down and kicked a field goal to take the 2-score lead. At that point, it was 8 points. I just felt like at that point, we weren't playing our best defensively. We need to keep the ball and possess the ball at midfield. We got to be able to get a yard. It wasn't, probably not the best call by me as a coach, but just felt like in that situation we needed to go for it. They kicked the field goal, so now they're up by 2 possessions. We get the ball back, and kids did a nice job. We were down 2 scores at that point, so we understand that we're going to have to score and kick an onside kick. We had the series before that, we had a 4th and 11 at the 30-yard line. There was about 6 minutes left to go in the game. If I go for it there, we don't convert, the game's over. Mm-hmm. I wanted to, hey, let's punt it. Let's get our defense. If we get a 3 and out, we got 3 timeouts. We got the 2-minute warning. We're going to get better field position. We didn't get a 3 and out, but we did get a stop, and we used our timeouts. So now we get the ball back, I think, just under 3 minutes with no timeouts. Our guys execute the 2-minute drill pretty good. So we get on the field. They get us to a fourth and long, so we practice our hurry up PAT field goal because we don't have timeouts. If we go out there and take our time, then we're not going to leave much time for the onside kick. So we sprint out there. Harry's doing a really good job, makes a big kick, and then Hayden Bolden does a really good job on the onside kick, gets the pop that you always want, and their kid made a play. So extremely proud of the way our guys battled, but we understand that Cal left some things out there that if we execute a little bit better in some key moments, then that game's a different story. But give IUP the credit. They made the plays when they needed to, but what a good college football game.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, that the onside kick from our angle where we were, you saw the pop, and then all I saw was number 0 going up for us. I'm like, we got it. And then I don't know where the IUP player came from. Made the play.
Kid made a nice play, to be honest with you, I hope we don't put ourselves in that position again. We've got to make more plays during the game, and then, like I said earlier, I think it boils down to the red zone. We're going to actually change our practice schedule up a little bit. We're going to work some good stuff in the red zone because our defense has got to get some stops down there and force teams to field goals, and then we're settling for too many field goals right now. So that's going to be an emphasis on practice today.
Well, let's take a look back at the highlights from this year's Coal Bowl, and then we'll come back. We'll break down everything in the PSAC. And also look ahead to this week's opponent, the Frostburg State Bobcats. You're watching the Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.
Hill's going to keep it himself, leaping for the end zone. And the touchdown. California makes the statement first. Reeve going to hand to him. Parsons into the end zone for the touchdown. Going to be an end-around handoff to Lewis, who blasts his way into the end zone for the touchdown. Reeve looking for Whitlock, has him wide open in the end zone. And they're going to say he's in. Touchdown, Crimson Hawks. Parson able to keep his balance and rumbles into the end zone for the touchdown. Reeve back to pass. Under a little bit of pressure, just has to get it away. And intercepted! Keith Charney down the sideline, and he will rumble his way to about the 6-yard line. Good snap, it's a good hold. The kick is up, and it is good.
Kick underway, fielded by Williams at the 7-yard line. Brought back past the 20, and Williams has an open lane. Williams past midfield, and Williams has one man to beat, and Williams will take it all the way. Williams into the end zone for the return touchdown. Spittler's kick able to get it away. Lewis on the return, but he fumbled the ball. And a pack looking to hop on top of it, and IUP claiming they have it. 3rd and goal. Pass caught by Whitlock for the touchdown. Handoff this time. Nice lane, staying on his feet and into the end zone for the touchdown. Ratcliffe on for the 3 points, and his field goal is good. The game on the line. High bounce. IUP come down with it. The jump ball was there. Maurice Macy able to hold on to it.
Fall is back, and so is Vulcan football. Follow the Vulcans every step of the way during the 2025 regular season. The season kicks off with a Thursday night clash versus Charleston. Then home September 13th versus Westchester. Home September 26th versus Lock Haven. September 27th at Slippery Rock. October 4th at home versus Seton Hill. October 11th at Edinburgh. Homecoming October 18th versus Clarion. At IUP October 25th. Home versus Frostburg State on November 1st. At Gannon November 8th. And the season finale at Shippensburg November 15th. Follow Cal Vulcans and CUTV for live links, highlights, and much more.
Hi, I'm Gene Sterator, CBS Rules Analyst and longtime sports official. Today, mistreatment of officials has become normalized, and we are facing an abnormal future where no officials to hire means no games on the schedule. And the positive effects of athletic competition are at critical risk for this generation and those to come. Videos showing abusive treatment of officials multiply on social media. And there have been consequences for the dreadful behavior of players, fans, and coaches. Your response in the heat of the moment is the only thing you totally control. Move that desire to lash out to a different place and encourage without rage. Just cheer for your child or the team you're there to support.
And welcome back to Gary Dunn Show. You just saw the highlights from this past week's game. But before we turn the calendar page over to this week, let's take a look back at what happened in the PSA this past weekend. Another weekend of divisional play. See Cal IEP 38-30. Moving forward, Kutztown 41, Westchester 7. Shepherd 26, East Stroudsburg 23. Clarion 23, Seton Hill 17. Edinburgh 41, Gannon 20. Bloomsburg 37, Millersville 21, Lock Haven 35, and Shippensburg 21. And we'll take a look quickly at the PSAC East and West standings as we're coming down to the nitty-gritty of it. There's still a lot to play for on both sides. And then also we'll look quickly at the regional rankings. Coach, I know after the loss, everyone's a little deflated, but a little bit of a pick-me-up this week. First regional rankings come out, California. they're listed alphabetically, but California's included in the first regional rankings. And that time of the year, you want to see your name rather than not see your name.
I did not know that. No, I think it's been a crazy year all over college football, from Division I FCS to FBS to Division II. There's going to be a 3-loss team in our region that is in the playoffs. I think we have one of the biggest advantages, our strength of schedule. But none of that matters if we don't start playing better football. That's what we talked to our guys about yesterday. We've got to take care of our details. We got to do the little things. We got to do simple better. And if we do that, we give ourselves opportunities to win. If we don't, then we don't. So, I think the guys responded well last night, and we'll see how we practice today. It's easy to motivate them for Coal Bowl week, but what I told them is we've got a top 25 team coming into our house. They're a first-place team out of the MEC. They're a good football team, scoring 33 points a game, only giving up 18. Extremely balanced offense. They got weapons all over the field. But we've got to handle us better. We got to look in and we got to do the things. We got to do a better job coaching. I talked with the staff on Monday about that, but we also got to do a better job of doing what we're coached to do. And the coaching part of it is we've got to demand it and we've got to see it, or we've got to make a change. It's our job to get them in positions to have success, and we need to do a better job of that. But we've got a great opportunity to host a top 25 team, a 7-1 team coming into our building, who's a really, really good football team, and see where we are.
Well, Frostburg State, as Coach has mentioned, 24 in the country coming in. Last week they beat Wheeling 31-13. Their only loss is a 2-overtime loss to Glenville. So even in their one loss, that was coming down to one possession here and there. They're also listed in the regional rankings as we saw. And Coach isn't looking off my sheet, but you were right on with the numbers: 33.5 points per, 18.25 points given up a game. And they have a dynamic quarterback, Jordan Brooks. Just under 1,300 yards passing, or 1,300 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, and then it looks like a two-headed monster running back over two guys over 600, or one guy over 600. Owen Doyle, 7 TDs, and then the other guy 537 yards and 5 TDs. So
really good offense, and they got some good skill receivers. They're 7-1 for a reason, and like you said, their only loss was an overtime loss to Glenville. So it's going to be a tough test, but we're at Adamson Stadium. We're going to have our home crowd there. We're going to have our alumni there. We've got to play and coach better football. We've set, rightfully so, expectations very high around here. And unfortunately, a couple times in the last couple of weeks, we haven't lived up to that. But this is why our guys come here. I told them there's a lot of teams in our league right now that are playing 10 games. And when I talk to our team, They want to play 11 games, and they want to play the best competition they can. This will be, you've got 2 teams tied for first place down in the MEC, and we're going to have played them both. So we're going to challenge ourselves with our schedule, and let's see where we're at this weekend.
Well, looking at your strength of schedule, whenever I was doing the graphics for the regional rankings just before we came in here, I thought there was an error on it because it basically looked like your schedule this year because there's so many teams. You're playing so many good teams, and so many good teams are progressing forward. So that's just, like you said, that's what you want to do. Iron sharpens iron. Now, the trivia question I have is, this was the question around the office yesterday, is have we played Frostburg State before?
We have not.
That's what we thought, but we went into the record books, me and John Sape yesterday. The series, 9 games, all played between 1970 and 1983, and believe it or not, neither Coach or I were here in 1983. But it's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's a nice regional game.
Surprising.
Right over the mountain. Yeah.
I didn't know we played them.
Yeah, like I said, we went back on the internet, so, and I mean, maybe the internet was wrong.
No,
I know
I'm sure
sometimes
it's right.
the internet is wrong.
I'm sure it's right. That's good. It's when I talk to their coach, and he's a great guy, it only makes sense for us to play. We just like them have aspirations, and to play good competition in the region, you get rewarded for that. So, I'm sure that was his thought process, and I know it was mine. They're an hour and a half away, and it's going to be a good college football game, and we've got to play better and understand who we have coming in here. This is probably one of the best teams we've played all year. They've got on defense, they're extremely aggressive. They do some different things. They got really, really good skill guys. I think their linebackers are as good as we've seen. So it's going to be a tough test, but I'm excited to see our guys respond.
And that game, just a little bit of housekeeping, is a 1 o'clock game this Saturday from Adamson Stadium. little. You can sleep in a little bit, but get to the tailgate a little earlier. So it's one of those catch-22s. You can sleep in, but Coach and I want some hot dogs coming in.
I wanted to give our fans an extra hour to sleep in and get their affairs in order before getting Adamson Stadium for what is typically a noon kick. I just thought, our fans have been tremendous all year. Let's throw them a bone and play at 1.
Excellent. And my crew will appreciate it because they like their sleep. But let's take a look at the schedule in the PSAC this week. Of course, Cal Frostburg, 1 o'clock. A whole slate of noon kickoffs in the PSAC this week. East Stroudsburg, Kutztown, Edinburgh, Seton Hill, Bloomsburg, Westchester, Lockhaven, Millersville, Shippensburg, and Shepherd. Those are the noon kickoffs. And then Clarion, Slippy Rock also at 1 o'clock, and then Gannon at IEP at 2 o'clock. And Coach, as you said, Vulcan Nation has been coming up clutch at home and on the road. And last scheduled home game, so what do you have to tell the fans to do to come on out? It's going to be a great day. Early weather has it at 54 degrees, almost the same weather forecast as this past Saturday, but more sun. There's always more sun in California.
Beautiful fall day. No, it's a fun group to watch. We've played in I don't know how many one possession games we've played. I think every one but one has been a one possession game. Our guys are going to battle. They're going to compete. We just need to execute a little bit better, and we need to coach a little bit better. But it's a fun group to watch, and we got some seniors that are playing their last regular season home game on Adamson Stadium. So it'd be a great day to come up and catch the Vulcans.
It's going to be a busy week, sports week. I know for you, your daughter's playing. You're pretty proud of a big WPIL playoff game for volleyball this Wednesday.
Yeah, it was funny. They played a playoff game Saturday at noon. So it was one of the rare circumstances that my wife Melissa and daughter Sydney did not make it to IUP. They're always out to Coal Bowl, so they weren't able to make it, and fortunately they won in 3. So playing Wednesday night in semifinals is really proud of her and her teammates for what they're doing.
So Vulcan Nation going out to Peters Township this Wednesday, support the Cal High volleyball team, and then get ready for Saturday. Start getting those. We're in the chilly weather. We're in like a soup weather, maybe a bisque. You can never go wrong with hot dogs. What would your favorite tailgate item be in the cold this time of year?
That's funny. I don't think I've been to a tailgate
probably ever
in probably 30 years. No, I actually did make. I took my daughter Sydney to a Steeler game at the end of the year in December. Wasn't great tailgating weather. I would go with something warm. I'd go with hot sausage.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
something
either
to
go
warm the inners.
Hot sausage or hot dogs or chili, or actually just put them all on one bun. So if anyone can give me one of those walking into the stadium on Saturday, I'd appreciate it. But once again, if you can't make it, CUTV as you covered, game will be on CUTV Sports 1 on our YouTube page, the PSAC Digital Network. It'll also be on local cable on Breezeline and Armstrong, and also you can download our Cablecast app and consume CUTV the old-fashioned way on cable. So many ways of seeing the game.
I'm amazed every week when you do that, how you remember all that stuff.
I'm just assuming it's right. It might be stuff that's kicking back in from 20 years ago. So don't fact check me on that. But Coach, thanks a lot. Good luck. Have a good week of practice. And Vulcan Nation coming out 1 o'clock on Saturday. For Coach Dunn, I'm Gary Smith. We'll see you Saturday at Adamson Stadium, 1 o'clock. You're watching the Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.